Hello and welcome back in our continued journey of mastering algebra. And if you have made it thus far in the journey, you have already done the bulk work, you've already done the heavy lifting, you've already developed a lot of muscle. After this point, the journey is going to be fairly straightforward. That means there'll be a lot of challenges, a lot of problems, but most of them, the foundation is already in place, and even the kind of games and approaches that we have to deploy and use are all essentially in place, including working with polynomials and working with basic equations or quadratic equations or working with inequalities, etc. So enough of algebra comfort has been built, and now we are moving towards a very specific function, a very unique kind of a function known as the absolute value function, also known as the modulus function. But the moment we get the definition right, we will see that the kind of games we will play henceforth, a lot of those we have already seen before. This will make sense as we progress in the journey. So let's straight away dive into what we mean by the absolute function or the absolute value function or the modulus function, and what are the nitty-gritty shortcuts, visualizations, and of course a lot of discussion and practice as such, right? So let's start with a very simple definition. If I give you this mod of 5, let me start by telling you that this is equal to 5. So very simple, not a big challenge at all. There is a positive number inside 5 and the value of the overall function is 5. This function, this symbol is called the modulus. Some people call it the modulus function or the absolute value function. What do we mean by absolute value? We'll see in a second. So 5 is equal to 5. But inside the function, if I put a minus 5, the output is going to be 5. So now the idea of what the function is doing should be fairly clear. If the value is positive, it will give you the same value as output. If the value is negative, it will convert it. As of now, we're not being very technical. I'm looking at like a 7th standard point of view. It will convert it into a positive number. So first of all, that idea should be very, very clear, that what is the mod function doing? It is always, the output is always going to be a positive value. If it is positive, it is the same as the number inside. If it is negative, magically it converts it into a positive number. How it does it, we'll see in a second, right? So if I ask you what is modulus of 105, your answer would be 105. So that's how easy the beginning steps are. But if I say what is the modulus of 211, you will say it is 211. Basically the minus gets eliminated. So mod of x is equal to x when x is positive, and mod of x is equal to minus of x when x is negative. Now at this very step, or I remember at least I felt that hiccup, that I just learned that the value is always positive, but I am putting a minus here. But remember, the x itself is negative. That means x itself also carries a negative symbol there. So that negative and negative, or a minus into a minus, will overall give you a plus result, right? So the technical definition is actually more complex. The idea is very, very simple, that if it is positive, you get the same number. If the number is negative, you have to convert it into positive. How will you convert a negative number into positive? If I say minus 7, convert this into a plus 7, what will you do? Minus 7 into a minus 1 will give you a plus 7. So that's why the minus is being put here. So this is the technical, official, mathematical definition, that the function is equal to x when x is positive. The function is equal to minus of x when x is negative. And don't get confused, because x itself has a negative value, a negative and a negative will give you a positive, and overall the value will come out as positive. So now I wrote it very easily, mod of 6 is equal to 6. Why? Because I saw there is a 6 inside. The 6 is positive, that means just the x comes out, But if I do a minus 6, how do I go? Like, I want to go slightly slower than just the result. I have a minus 6, that means x is negative, that means I have to do a minus of x. And what is x? X is a minus 6. So this will finally become a 6. So this is like holding your left ear by your right hand, and not that also not from the front but from the back. But then if you go into and it may feel like that in the beginning, but if you want to teach a computer the function, this is how finally you'll have to go about it, right? And yes, in numbers it is very easy, just convert the number to the positive, and the idea is clear. But soon we will put a x square inside, or an equation inside, or a quadratic equation inside, and then just thinking in terms of converting it into positive will not work, because we will not know whether x is positive or negative till we do some further analysis with the information, right? But this is the technical definition. Write it down, capture it somewhere, and pay attention to it. That means two scenarios are being created. One when x is positive, and the second when x is negative. So let's just build on this idea further and look backwards. If I tell you mod of x is equal to 7, so think about it, what are the possible situations, and first think just in rough hand format or rough paper format, that I'm looking at 7 and I know the input output is fairly straightforward, right? So inside if I put a 7, outside I will get a 7. What I have to be careful about is that inside if there is a -7, even then I get a 7. So if I think of what are the values of x which will work for me, 7 will work for me as well as -7. That means if I give you this as an equation, you will get two answers, 7 and -7. So this was just straight away guessing the number. Let's go a little more officially, or using the technical definition. Mod of x is equal to 7. I know mod of x, I just looked at the definition, right? Mod of x is equal to x when x is positive. That means you are creating two scenarios. One is x is positive, and again this creating of two scenarios is something that we have seen earlier. So now we are already warmed up with such games. That's what I meant in the beginning, right? X is positive, x is greater than 0. In that case, mod of x is x. So instead of mod of x, I can just write an x, and this is equal to 7. So this equation gets converted into this under this condition. Similarly, when x is negative, mod of x is equal to minus of x when x is negative, right? Capture that definition again and again. So this will become x. So this will become minus of x is equal to 7, and you wanted to find the value of x, so remove the minus sign and put it on this side, and x is equal to 7. So x is equal to 7 and -7 are your two answers to the solution. And again, at this level, again you could have just guessed the numbers anyway, but this is just to start the process, because when things get complicated, this will be your saving tool, right? This will help you think systematically. So let's just keep building on top of this story. I say 2x plus mod of x is equal to 6. What is the value of x? So now you will see just guessing the value is getting more and more difficult. So I want a process, and the process is very simple. I want to get rid of this symbol, right? And that creates two situations for me. So again, two storylines. One is x is positive. In that case, mod of x is just equal to nx. So just copy the equation, 2x plus x is equal to 6. This becomes a 3x, 3x is equal to 6, x is equal to 2. In this case, x is negative, the second story. When x is negative, mod of x is equal to minus x, right? In the beginning, pay attention to each step. Later, this becomes faster and faster. And instead of a mod x, I have to put a minus x. And this is equal to 6. Solve this. 2x minus x, x is equal to 6. So at x is equal to 2 and at x is equal to 6. So at x is equal to 2 and at x is equal to 6, you should get the solution. But pay attention, your assumption was that x is negative. You are assuming that x is less than 0, but the result you are getting, x is equal to 6, x is greater than 0. How can this be true? That means this storyline is not working for me. Try the value of 6 as well. If you put 6 here, you will get 2 6 are 12, 12 plus 6 again 18. 18 is equal to 6, that doesn't make sense. But if you put 2 here, 2 2s are 4, 4 plus 2 6, and you get the value as 6, right? That means there was only one solution, and this is the only case it was working in. Does it mean that the one of the tree lines or one of the branches of thinking will always get cancelled? Obviously not. That was happening only in this particular story. And as in the very next example, we'll see maybe both the trees will give us different solutions as in the previous example. Just change the story to x minus of mod of x is equal to 6. Quickly create two situations. In one case, when x is positive, you know it is straight away just copy the equation 2x minus x, because instead of mod of x, you're just writing an x and just copying the equation the way it was. And this is equal to 6, and the overall value that you get is x is equal to 6. But if x is negative, what do you get? You get a 2x. Instead of a mod of, just copy the minus this way, instead of a mod of x, you get a minus of x, right? Because that's what the definition is. Mod of x is equal to minus of x when x is negative. So 2x minus minus of x, I'm sure everybody got it anyway. 2x plus x is equal to 6. And again 3x is equal to 6 and x is equal to 2. Now you see again this storyline is not working for me. And again, do not get stuck with the idea that one of the storylines will get eliminated. Let me now throw an example where both the storylines will work. So let's apply the same idea here. Two stories, x square, and just copying the equation like that. Instead of a mod of x, simply write an x. Why? Because I'm assuming that x is greater than 0. And put up a 6 equal to 0. This is very easy to factorize. The answers are, the factors are x plus 2 into x plus 3. And again, notice the speed here. I'm not spending any time here because I'm assuming everybody has developed expertise here. This is equal to 0. That means x is equal to minus 2 or x is equal to minus 3. But you started by saying x is greater than 0. The solutions that you are getting are negative. Will this story work for me? No, it will not work for me. And again, let me warn you that it's not. That is not the point that one of the stories is not working. The point is, I must create two stories and check for myself, right? X square, the other story, x is less than 0, x is negative. Copy the equation, x square. You will have a plus 5, but instead of a mod of x, you will get a minus x. So 5 into a minus x will give you a minus 5x. And just copying the situation, right? That means if you notice the shortcut, what is the shortcut? Once it will be plus, once it will be minus, right? If you want to do it quickly. And when will it be minus? When you are assuming x to be negative. Factorize this quickly. X minus 3 into x minus 2 equal to 0. And solve this further, you will get x is equal to 3 or x is equal to 2. Again, I was looking for negative values less than 0, and what I am getting is positive values, and that means again there is not going to be any solution for this equation. Okay, so I was hoping for a situation where both sides I get something, but I got a situation where I am getting nothing on the other side, right? But again, what is my point? My point is that what is the meaning of mod? The meaning of mod is sometimes it is x and sometimes it is minus x. When is it x? When it is positive. When it is minus x? When x is negative, right? So to handle that information, whenever I see a mod in an equation, I'll have to create two situations. Though, just as a bonus activity, in this equation, I could have guessed also that there will not be any solutions. Why? X square will be always positive. Mod of x, the result will always be positive and there is a positive outside. So positive plus positive plus positive, how can it ever become equal to 0? But we are not being clever about the quadratic equation. Remember, video by video, the agendas are different. Right now, what is my agenda? What is the one task that I want you to focus on or master on through this process? Is that can I create two scenarios, one for when x is positive and one for when x is negative, right? And by now already the process should be in place, and the next example and the next example should get easier and easier, at least for when there is a single mod in the story. Same story, simple numbers, clear ideas. X square minus mod of 5, x square minus 5 of mod of x plus 6 equal to 0. Let's quickly create two stories. One of them straight away x square. There is a minus 5. Instead of a mod of x, you just put an x. So this equation will become so. Put up the 6 equal to 0. When is this? When x is greater than 0. Factorize this quickly. X minus 3 into x minus 2 equal to 0. What are the roots? X is equal to 3, x is equal to 2. Are they positive? Yes. Is this positive? Yes. Right? So this is definitely a solution for me. That means if I put 3 and 2 or 2, this equation should work out for you. Hit pause and try and see whether I'm telling you the truth or the equation is telling you the truth or not. I have x is less than 0 in that story. Copy the equation x square. There is a minus 5 here, right? But instead of a mod of x, you're putting a minus of x. So what will you get? You will get a 5x. And then just copy the rest of the equation. You get this equal to 0. Factorize this quickly. X plus 3 into x plus 2 equal to 0. What are the roots? X is equal to minus 3. X is equal to minus 2. So, 4 possible solutions for this story. You can check it for yourself. Plug in these values and you will see 3 and 2 and minus 3 and minus 2 works perfectly fine, right? And again, what is the focus for us? Creating two stories, making sure that we can work with basic equations or even quadratic equations where there is a simple level mod involved, because things can get more and more complicated. So this is a basic process, because for more complicated situations, we'll find even more basic shortcuts or different methods as such. But this is our fundamentals of the absolute value function. If you stick to the process, most ideas can be worked out.